Math Explorers, it's Justin again, and welcome to our Community Market Day. There are so many booths to check out, and everything here is grown, made, or harvested by members from the community. Fruits, vegetables, scarves, cakes, flower arrangements, eggs, you name it. Ooh, sounds like something's caught Mia's attention. A bowl of fruit! Mathematicians, Mia's actually uncovered an opportunity for us here. Examining the fruit in this bowl and recording a few observations can help us start to notice even more math in the world around us. In fact, this community market is full of mathematical opportunities. So, let's check out these pieces of fruit. There are 9 pieces of fruit in the bowl, and one of the 9 pieces is yellow. Think about the variety of colors, or maybe how many pieces share the same shape. In your guided notes, record at least 2 more observations about the pieces of fruit in this bowl. I also noticed 2 of the 9 pieces are purple. Any idea how we could show that as a number? Keep this question in mind, because by the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to identify fractions in the world around you, understand their parts, and show them in several different ways. Let's dive into the world of fractions together, starting with some fruit. Okay, let's review what we already know. There are 9 pieces of fruit in all. 1 of the 9 pieces is yellow, and 2 of the 9 pieces are purple. What other observations did you make? I also noticed 2 of the 9 pieces are green, and 8 of the 9 pieces are round. If your observations are different, that's okay. Check to make sure they tell specific amounts like these examples so you can use your observations a little later. These observations give us specific details about the pieces of fruit in the bowl. But is there a shorter way to share that same information? Instead of 2 of the 9 pieces are purple, we could just say 2 of 9 are purple. We still know it's describing how many pieces out of the whole amount share that color. And this phrasing can help us understand how fractions work. That's because fractions are an even shorter way of sharing that information. A fraction represents a piece or part of a whole. Whole amounts can be broken into parts, and we can use fractions to describe those parts. So when we say 2 of 9 are purple, another way we can record that is as the fraction 2/9. What fraction could we use for the 8 round pieces? 8 of 9 are round, so we can use the fraction 8/9. Take a moment to pause and record the fractions that describe the 1 yellow fruit and the 2 green fruits. You can also record the fractions for any of your earlier observations. The fraction 1/9 tells how many are yellow, and 2/9 tells us how many are green. Notice how they all have a 9 at the bottom. Why is that? Because there are 9 pieces of fruit in the bowl. In any fraction, the number that tells the total number of parts in a whole is called the denominator. And the number at the top of each fraction? In any fraction, the number that describes a part of the whole is called the numerator. It's written this way so you can read it as a part of the total, like how 2 of the 9 pieces are green. Perfect timing! Mia just bought a bouquet of flowers and wants to know what fraction of the flowers are red. Pause here to record your thinking in your guided notes. Two of the 8 flowers are red. So how do we record that as a fraction? 2/8. Our numerator, 2, tells us how many flowers are red, and our denominator, 8, tells us how many flowers there are in all. So, what fraction of the flowers are yellow? Well, 5 of the 8 flowers are yellow, which is the same as the fraction 5/8. And which part of the bouquet matches the fraction 1/8? Since one of the flowers is white, 1/8 must be describing the one white flower in the bouquet. Great work! Now we know that a fraction represents part of a whole, and that the whole amount can be a big group of items, like a bowl of fruit or a bouquet of flowers. But sometimes the whole amount is just one, like the one cookie Mia just bought at the baked goods booth.
Mia, could we maybe share that cookie?
Sweet. How can we use fractions to make sure we each get the same amount? To help us share this cookie equally, we can break the cookie in half. 2 pieces, one for each of us. Oh. Mia, is that how you're planning to break the cookie? Mathematicians, I could use some help here. Technically, Mia's about to break the cookie into 2 pieces, but will the cookie really be split in half? In your guided notes, show where you would break the cookie in half so that 2 people would get the same amount. When working with fractions, it's important that all the parts are equal. Breaking the cookie down the middle like this would make the 2 parts equal, each representing 1/2 of the cookie. Even though we're just working with one cookie here, fractions work the same way. I'll get 1 of the 2 pieces, or 1/2 of the cookie, and Mia will get 1 of the 2 pieces, or 1/2 of the cookie. Ooh, they just brought out an unsliced apple pie. I'd like to buy 1/4 of it. We know that breaking a cookie down the middle will give us 2 equal pieces. So how could we use that knowledge to make 4 equal pieces, or fourths? Pause here to show how the pie should be cut in your guided notes. Vertical lines like this would cut the pie into 4 pieces, but they aren't 4 equal pieces. Vertical lines work for shapes like squares and rectangles, but they won't give us equal pieces for a circle. Where else could we draw a line? Across the middle. And that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. 1/4, please. I'd also like to buy 2 slices of this chocolate and strawberry cake. What fraction of the cake is that? Since the cake is cut into 5 slices, buying 2 of the 5 would be 2/5 of the cake. And what fraction of the cake will be left? 3/5 of the cake is left for someone else to buy. So, what have we learned today besides the fact that fractions can tell us more about the world around us and help me get some sweets? Well, now you know that a fraction represents a part of a whole. The denominator is the total number of parts in the whole, while the numerator is a specific part of the whole amount. You also know that fractions can be shown using digits, words, and visual models. Be sure to complete the practice questions and extension activities that go with this lesson to practice identifying and working with fractions like we did at the market today. Speaking of our market adventure, this was just the beginning. As we explore the rest of the booths here, we'll continue to build on our understanding of fractions. Keep a lookout for fractions of the world around you, and remember, mathematicians, in math, as in life, practice makes progress. I'll see you next time.